My guest today is the multi-talented and award-winning actor and producer, Neal McDonough. Now, many of you have seen Neal's scene-stealing performances in Paramount's Yellowstone opposite Kevin Costner and Tulsa King with Sylvester Stallone, and who can forget his role as Sean Cahill in Suits? But he also owns the silver screen with past roles in Minority Report with Tom Cruise, Van Helsing, Boon, Homestead, and now his newest film, The Last Rodeo. So ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome multi-talented and award-winning actor-producer Neal McDonough and his new action-packed and powerfully moving film, The Last Rodeo, to the show. Welcome, Neal.
Thank you, Ward. Thanks for having me on the show. Much appreciated.
You bet. Well, you have had such an amazing film career with no signs of slowing down. How would you describe your career so far, as you've come a long way since the days of Desperate Housewives?
Just blessed. You know, it's to be able to write and produce and star in my own films alongside my wife, Reve. That's a dream come true in itself. And then to have Angel Studios as our partners for distribution is it's fantastic. I finally get the films that I loved as a kid. I finally get to do, and everyone knows that I wouldn't do intimate scenes. I wouldn't kiss another woman on screen. So, in The Last Rodeo, I finally get to kiss a woman on screen, and that woman is played none other than my beautiful wife, Reve. So, I finally get to play the hero and kiss a woman in the end. So I get to play the John Wayne character that I always wanted to play. I get to play the Paul Newman character that I always wanted to play, and here I am getting to write and produce it. And it's, I'm so blessed is absolutely the correct word for me.
I love that. Now, isn't this the third film that you have done with Angel Studios?
Yeah. Our first one, we did The Shift, which did really well. And the second one was Homestead, which came out a couple months back. And, that $5 million film just passed $23 million in the box office, which is really kind of astounding. And to play that Western character that I love, we did the Warrant series, the Western series that I've been doing, and from Tulsa King and obviously Yellowstone, and now with The Last Rodeo and The Wicked and the Righteous, our next film we have that we start filming this summer. I love the Western theme because it really talks about what the values are of the heartland of America. That's how I grew up, from immigrant parents, and they were so proud to be Americans, and they instilled that so heavily into all the kids in our family. And I get to write about it now, and I get to act about it. So I'm in a position now in my life that if you asked me 10 years ago, would I be here writing and producing and talking about films that I'm starring in? I would say, yeah, that would be great, but I don't really see that happening. God gave me a gift to be able to make it happen and make all these dreams come to fruition. And here we are now talking about The Last Rodeo, which I'm so incredibly proud of.
Well, I would definitely be proud of this film because I had the utmost pleasure watching this newest film, The Last Rodeo, which I will say right now, I absolutely loved in every way. Now, I understand that you are one of the writers of the film, along with director Jon Avnet and Derek Presley. Where did the inspiration for this story come from?
I was doing a Western that Reve and I were producing called The Warrant. This was the second part of it for INSP and Gary Wheeler, who is amazing in his own right. And I was driving home one night, and I was just missing Reve and the kids fiercely. And a dark thought came into my head and said, what would ever happen if something ever happened to Reve? And it just kind of buckled me. And then I'm fairly certain that God planted this idea in my head of age rodeo superstar has to go back and ride the rodeo again because his wife passed away of cancer and something. And all these ideas just came in. And within 24 hours, I voice dictated into my phone the outline of the movie. And it just came out of me, Ward. And then I called my writing partner, Derek Presley. We wrote Boon and Redstone, Wicked and the Righteous, and some other projects. And I told him the idea, and he's like, oh my gosh, this is unbelievable. And within a week, we came up with the first draft. And within the next week, we had financing. This is all God's divine intervention. And that he picked me for this, that I don't want to let him down. I never want to let him down. He's my boss. He's, my everything. And I want to do everything I can to give glory to him in everything that we do. And we had the opportunity to do that and to make a film that's, really talks about real issues. It's not just a saccharine, sweet film. It actually talks about issues. It talks about what happens if things are taken away from you, what happens with addiction. And in my personal life, when everything was taken away from me years ago because I wouldn't do an intimate scene. All the money, the houses, the cars, everything was taken away from me. And then the alcohol that I consumed and how it became, it became such a problem for me. So to overcome that alcoholism, to overcome death, to overcome cancer, to overcome all these things, I got to infuse that into a script with rodeo as the backdrop. I had never seen a rodeo before. I knew nothing about rodeo. I've been riding horses since I was a kid at Melpit Farms back in Cape Cod when I was a little boy, but I knew nothing about it. So how that came into my brain is certainly not from me. It was divine intervention. And we sat in the theater last night for a private screening with my wife and our kids. And the kids were just so proud of mom and dad of what we did and how much they loved the film. And it's just, it's hard to speak about it, how proud I am of this project.
Well, it's a great film. And see, I grew up in a small town where we would have a week rodeo. I remember my dad taking me to the prison rodeo up in Huntsville, Texas, and to watch that going on. And of course, for me, there's nothing better to watch than the bull riding competition because it is the most dangerous. I mean, I even had a friend in high school who was a bull rider and he died doing that very thing. So it's extremely dangerous. But when I see this film, I noticed that your on-screen persona in a lot of the other roles that you had has always had this quiet, confident strength, sometimes intimidating, but in the last rodeo, you really show your vulnerable side. And it drew me into your plight in the story. How did you embrace that character of Joan Wainwright?
I got to play me. In real life, everyone thinks I'm this big tough guy because I'm always, having fight scenes or taking down good guys or villains, whatever the case is. But in real life, I'm kind of really the opposite of that. I'm just kind of this goofy, fun-loving dad who will do anything to get my kids to laugh. And I'm very emotional, and I think that's what makes me, I found out at an early age a gift that God gave me was acting. It isn't my talent. It's a talent that God put inside of me. And I don't want to let him down. And I show my emotions on my sleeve as an actor and as a dad, as a husband, as a friend. And that's who I really am. So I got to really act out Neal McDonough on screen, going through all the problems that I've had in my personal life. I got to infuse that into a screenplay. And then to be able to have the amazing Jon Avnet direct me from, John did Fried Green Tomatoes, Up Close and Personal, all the years Unjustified. We've built such a relationship in Boomtown where we first met. I love Jon.
There were 3 scenes in this film that really started to bring tears to my eyes. And as I was looking at your character, Joe Wainwright, it shows in some circumstances that men need to cast down their pride. And in the case of the Last Rodeo, believe in something bigger than their achievements. And you prove that in this film.
Well, when I was going through my hard times, I forgot about God. He didn't forget about me, but we forget about God at times. And so I wanted to put that into this character. I wanted him to be a one-time believer, but not really believing anymore because life's been too hard on him. So to infuse that conceit into the film that Joe doesn't believe anymore. And by the end of the film, when he finds his faith, everything kind of makes sense. And that's what I went through in my personal life. And I just wrote about it. Yes, it's about a bull rider. Yes, it's about, things that are different from who I am personally. But the personal message and the drive between, because of Joe Wainwright's Neal McDonough. And it was just, it's hard for me to watch the film because it is so emotional for me when I see what Joe is going through. That's what I went through. And not just what I went through, that's what every man has gone through. Everyone goes through doubts. Everyone goes through pain. Everyone goes through addictions and death and all kinds of stuff.
Well,
And
in your
in
your real life, who was your Charlie?
Oh, my Charlie in my life is my wife, Reve. It's not even close. She's been there through thick and thin. When I went through those hard times for those 2 years when I couldn't get a job and I was just drinking myself silly and beating myself up, and she was there, never judging, never getting angry at me. She was just holding my hand. She said, "You're going to get through this."
There's that scene where it's you and Charlie, and your character starts listing all of the bad things, and in a way blaming God for,
My
you
favorite
lost your
scene in the
wife.
movie.
Yeah, and lost your wife, and the rodeo career, all of these things. And then there was Charlie standing there like, you've got to give God one more chance, and everything is a step of faith. Because the very character that you have on screen, I've heard other people act that way. And this is why I love this film, because every scene is so true to life. And it's just like when Joe goes, God also takes things away. He was focusing on all of the losses
That's right.
instead of at least taking that one more step and believing for that victory, which was the miracle that was coming.
That's
And
right.
I thought that was one very powerful scene.
Thank you. And Michael T is, I have two really best friends in this industry. I'm kind of a lone wolf. If I'm not working, I'm with Reve and the kids, or I'm coaching the kids in sports or theater or whatever the case is, or Reve and I are just hanging out doing whatever. So I don't have a lot of friends. I have a lot of acquaintances, but my best friends are all in one hand, maybe even less than a full hand. Michael T. Williamson and Chris McDonald are two of those guys. And when we wrote the film, we wrote it for those guys. And that I got to have them both in the movie with me just was the icing on the cake. And Sarah Jones is so remarkable in this movie.
Oh,
It's
stellar performances from all of the characters in this film.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
And because I was looking at the on-screen chemistry between you and Michael T.
When Michael T laughs at me without giving the plot away, and
Yeah.
there's a scene in there where I don't want to talk about it because they'll spoil it, was one of the most genuine. It was, he just came ready to win, and Chris McDonald was the same. He came ready to win, and we all knew that we were trying to do a film that gave glory to God, and we had to talk about real issues, and we had to dredge up our own personal stories to make our characters really come to life and come to fruition, and we did. And it's, Jon Avnet, I call the maestro. He pulled it all out of us, and the shots that he made, and Denis was just the most amazing DP on this film. But everyone, soup to nuts, all the way, Kip Conweiser, our producer, who made it all happen, pulled it all together. Everyone worked at their top ability. Do you know how humbling that is for me to have that happen in my life? It's if I never make a film again, I would be fine. I made The Last Rodeo. It's something that I'm more proud of than any other film I've ever been part of, because I got to tell a story and make a great movie that I know people are going to love watching.
Well, how did you film the rodeo scenes? Was it during
Carefully.
an actual competition?
No, PBR was just incredible. Sean Gleason, the head of PBR, we went to him early and said, we're making this film that's going to make the PBR look great. And he says, okay, let me think about it. And then we showed him the script, and he's like, oh, okay. And then he met my wife, Reve, and he's like, okay, I don't have a choice, do I? Okay, great. We're going to do this. Reve is very persuasive. Where there's Reve, there's a way. That's the catchphrase. So the greatest part about it is that not only did they provide the bulls, they provided the real life riders playing actually themselves in the movie. That never happens. If you make a movie about, like I said earlier, the New York Yankees, and you have Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton and all the real Yankees playing themselves in the movie, it adds such authenticity to the film. Well, we had the real riders out there, riding the bulls for us. It was nuts. And these guys, they're crazy. And we got tough bulls for them to ride to make it look challenging. And they got flung through the air. They got beaten up. They were there. And I'm so proud of the rodeo sequences. If you're a rodeo fan, you're going to lose your marbles, because it's the action, the way it was filmed is unlike any other film you've ever seen, especially rodeo film. We went at it. They beat me up. They beat everybody up, and it was something I'm so immensely proud of. And I know everyone out there who's going to see this film is going to be so excited about it, because it talks about family values. You can bring the whole family to the film. You don't have to cover eyes or ears. Everyone can watch it. Everyone can listen to it. Everyone can enjoy a great film that the McDonough Company made with Angel Studios. So if this is the kind of films you love, please go to the cinema. Please support it. Go buy tickets and tell Hollywood we want to make great films that talk about family values again.
Amen to that, Neal. Amen to that. And I loved the bull riding scenes because, like you said, they're real. They're authentic. I was holding my breath for every rider because you never know what's going to happen. And to capture it on film, it is action packed when it comes to the rodeo scenes. But I have to ask this question because, and I know you mentioned it earlier about your stance when it comes to kissing another woman or sex scenes in a movie. It's only going to be your wife. So because of this film was the first film in which you kissed Ruve on screen, how would you compare your first on-screen kiss with her to the day you kissed her on your wedding day?
All right, I have to jump here, but I'm going to answer that question. It was better. And here's why. When I kissed Ruve on our wedding day, it was phenomenal. But this was different. This is something that we built from the ground up. And I've never kissed a woman on screen before. So when I got to kiss my wife on screen, all the darkness I had to go through because I wouldn't do it all those years ago, all the pain and struggles and turmoil that it put into my family and losing everything and building it back up together as a couple, that kiss meant more to me than anything I've ever done on screen.
To me, it's almost like you got the last laugh and God honored.
Oh, I don't know about that. I don't want to say, no, I'm not that guy. I am not that guy. I thank everyone all along the way who made me go through those things and called me out to man up and be the best version of me I can for him. And that's what I'm trying to be every day. We fail. We're sinners. We're idiots. We do dumb things every day, but we try and we try and we try. And that's our job.
Yeah. But in the end, God's going to bless that integrity and holding true to his values. And I think that's why your career just keeps skyrocketing and keeps climbing. We're seeing you on screen everywhere. And, I know you had that downtime in your career. Overall, how has your faith shaped your overall career?
It shaped everything. It was, without faith, where would we all be? Whether you're a Christian or a Jew or a Muslim or agnostic, whatever, where's your faith in humanity? Look, God made us all in his likeness, right? We're all his children. So since we're all his children, shouldn't we as brothers and sisters stop fighting with each other and just start loving each other more and start thinking that my religion is better than your religion, my creed is better than your creed, my color is better than your color, I've got more money than you got. Wow, that's just exhausting. That's just too much pressure. Let's just go back to what we're supposed to do. Love our neighbors, love each other, and enjoy the time that we're here. It's so brief. Enjoy it because there's eternity after, and that's what he promises us.
Well, I love that. And Neal, I know that you have your production company, the McDonough Company. Are we going to see more films like this one?
Oh, heck yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah. We're just starting. And you know how you'll see more? By people going to the movie theaters, buying tickets, and supporting films like this. I can't tell you enough that you'll send a big message to Hollywood to say, start making films that talk about families, difficult issues, tough issues, but that the whole family can go to the movie theater and talk about it after. That's what I want. So please come support films like this, what Angel Studios is doing. And I promise you, we won't let you down. We'll keep on making great films for everybody.
Well, I believe that. And ladies and gentlemen, Neal McDonough's newest film, The Last Rodeo, is about a retired rodeo star who is trying to save his grandson. But along the way, he confronts his past, discovers faith, and proves that true courage lies in family. Now, the story of The Last Rodeo is powerful, emotionally moving, a bit of humor, but with the power of faith and family. Now, Jon Avnet directs every scene with a watchful and with a very careful, watchful eye, and with precision. Now, The Last Rodeo stars not only Neal as the lead, but also incredible performances by Sarah Jones and Christopher McDonald and McKelty Williamson and Graham Harvey, and a special appearance by Ruve McDonough herself. And as Jesus said, I can guarantee this truth, and I can guarantee that The Last Rodeo is a must-see film for the whole family. It comes to theaters May 23rd, so plan on having a family night at the movies with candy and popcorn and the togetherness of family. Neal, I want to thank you so much for coming on and sharing this new, incredible, powerful film with me today.
Thank you. I really appreciate it, Ward. It means a lot to me.
You're very, very welcome. And ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for watching. And as for me, you're either going to see me at the movies or from the red carpet.